right, everybody, you asked for it. You asked for orcs. I had been putting this off for a while. I was always afraid I wouldn't be able to do them justice, but we're going to give it a shot. So let's go ahead and get started. All the models you're going to see that I have in the unit plates that are also going to be on the board when we do the battle report, they are from many different creators. I started printing on orcs. I'm still printing orcs. I'll try to put up on screen all the different creators that I know of. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few. But if you guys want orcs, this faction might be the #1 3D printable faction out there. On top of that, orcs are great because you can take absolutely anything and turn it into an orc unit. You could take a ball of styrofoam, cover it in wood glue, and roll it around in a bits box, and by God, you got an orc tank. That is the one thing that I love the most about this army. Orcs are where you can be the most creative. Your orcs don't even have to be green. All they gotta do is be orcs. So with that out of the way, let's start with the list. Special rules. Let's do the command abilities first. There's extra shooty. This model and his unit get shooty. If they already had shooty, they get extra hits on unmodified rolls of 5 to 6 instead. We'll just jump over to shooty right now. When shooting, hits from unmodified rolls of 6 are multiplied by 2. Only the original hit counts as 6. So if you have a rending gun, the additional hit does not count as a 6. Energy field. This model and its unit get stealth, for when you really want to be a sneaky kid. Mad Doctor. This model and its unit get regeneration. There's really no criteria to becoming an orc doc. All you need is some duct tape and a staple gun. Repair. Once per activation, if within 2 inches of a model with tough, roll 1 die. On a 2+, you may remove D3 wounds from that model. This is going to be for your quintessential orc mech, the character version of orc that I think is nearest and dearest to my heart. Orcs that just love to throw scrap together and beat stuff until it just works. Last but not least, and probably the most important when it comes to orcs in combat, Warcry. This model and its unit move +2 on advance and +4 on rush and charge. Because your orcs are always better when they're punching things in the face, and Warcry is going to get them there that little bit faster. On to the rest of the special rules for everything else. Bad shot. This model shoots at quality 5. All of your orc units are going to have bad shot. Why? Because orcs don't care if they hit you. They just like feeling the kick of the gun and the noise it makes. And for people that are new to orcs, whenever I refer to the term DACA, as in DACA, 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 all they like to do is hold down the trigger, drop bombs. Whenever this model moves over enemy units, pick one of them and roll 1 die, and on a 6, it takes 1 hit. Good shot. This model shoots a quality 4. This is going to be for your goblins, because they're little weedy things. They don't like to get into close combat. They like to shoot stuff. So through natural evolution and a little bit of natural selection, the goblins have gotten better at shooting stuff. Shock. Unmodified rolls of 6 are multiplied by 3. Only the original hit counts as a 6. This is going to be on some of the fun guns like the shock attack cannon. Speed boost. Moves +2 when using advance and +4 when using rush or charge. They're going to have a nice shiny red button the orcs like to poke that dumps more gas into the engine and does what those orcs like doing best, is go faster. Teleport. Once per activation, before attacking, place this model anywhere within 6. Because some orcs have found a way to teleport themselves through space and time. How? I have no idea. I bet you the orc mechs that did it have no idea either. It just works. And warning cry, enemy units can't be set up within 12 of this model when using ambush. So you can just tell in the special rules, there's going to be a lot of fun in this army list. So let's go ahead and move on to spells. Spells. Crackling Bolt. 1. Target enemy unit within 18 takes 1 hit with Blast 3. Warpath. 1. Target friendly unit within 12 gets Stealth next time they're shot at. Death Bolt. 2. Target enemy unit within 9 takes 1 hit with AP 4 and Deadly 3. Headbang. 2. Target 2 friendly units within 18 and get Rending next time they fight in melee. Psychic Vomit. 3. Target enemy unit within 12. It takes 6 hits with AP 2. And Teleport. 3. Target 2 friendly units within 18. They get Flying next time they activate. The orcs have kind of a standard offensive capability with their spells. There's a couple of buffs in here, which are situational at best. So that's it for the spells. We're going to go ahead and go on to the characters. One guy for 85 points, quality 3, defensive 4, comes with 2 ultra clubs, 1 attack each at blast 3. He's bad shot, furious, hero, and toughness 6. He can take all the upgrades: the Gunmaster for extra shooty, Battle Chief for war cry, Customizer for energy field, Mechanic for repair, and he could be a Shaman or Master Shaman for Caster 2 and Caster 3. You can replace one of the Ultra Clubs with a Carbine and a Carbine mod. So pretty much it's going to be a Carbine strapped to a Carbine, because why not, right? So it'll be 4 shots at 18 inches. You can then replace that Carbine mod with a Rocket or a Heavy Flamer mod, depending on what you want to do, if you even want to make your Ultra Boss into a shooty boss at all. You can replace the Ultra Clubs with a Ultra Saw to give him a deadly 3 attack, Ultra X for more attacks with AP and Rending, or an Ultra Claw with a lot of attacks and a lot of AP. You can replace both Ultra Clubs with a Ultra Great Weapon for 6 attacks at AP 2 and Reliable. Just some big honking thing that he's going to beat the enemy with, and with Reliable it's going to hit on too. You can get a Pet Attack Beast for Warning Cry, Cyborg Body for regeneration, and a Pet Gunner for a Heavy Machine Gun, 3 shots at 30 inches at AP1, where you pretty much just strap a goblin with a heavy machine gun to his head, and he gets to run around both hands free to beat stuff with. This is going to be your iconic, big, ugly orc in heavy armor, carrying big weapons to beat stuff that all the other orcs look up to. This is going to be your war boss. He is going to be the tip of your spear and love doing nothing else but ramming his fist down someone else's throat. Now, what if you want a war boss that doesn't have all that heavy armor? He wants to be a little bit more nimble. We're going to go to our next one. The Boss Leader, 45 points, quality 3, defensive 4, 2 attacks with a close combat weapon, and 2 shots with a pistol at 12 inches, bad shot, furious, hero, and toughness 3. He can get all of the same upgrades for his squad: extra shooty, Warcry, energy field, repair, Caster 2 or Caster 3. You can replace his boss pistol with a light carbine and a rocket mod, or a carbine and a carbine mod, or a light carbine and a heavy flamer mod. It's all a carbine with whatever you want strapped to the side of it. You can replace his close combat weapon with the Ultra Club, Axe, Claw, or Saw. Again, the Ultra Club is going to be if you got a lot of little things and you just want to hit them with a blast. Ultra Axe is going to give you Rending. The Ultra Claw is going to be your high AP attacks, and your Ultra Saw is going to be your deadly attacks. You can give him a Cyborg Body for regeneration. This guy can take a jetpack for ambush and flying. You can take Commando gear to give him Scout, Stealth, and Strider. He can be put on a bike, which makes him fast. Toughness +3, making him toughness 6. And on the bike, you get a twin mini machine gun for 3 shots at 18 inches at AP1. Or, opposed to the bike, you can take a beast mount where you get 3 attacks of the beast jaw at AP1. He becomes fast, and again, he is toughness 6. You can do a mini copter where you strap a rocket launcher to it. He's fast, flying, and again, toughness 6. Or you can upgrade him all the way to a combat trike where he's fast, toughness 9 at this point, where again, a toughness 9 means that you can't put him with any other squad. He is just going to be on his own, but with all this stuff, this boss is going to be fine on his own because he also gets the triple boss shotty, 6 shots, 12 inches at AP1. You can upgrade him personally with Gun Freak, which gives him shooty, or Pet Attack Beast, which gives Warning Cry. This is your Jack of all trades war boss. If you want to theme your orc army to a different type of orc, this is going to be where you want to do it. You want to have your speed freak orcs that are running around at hundreds of miles an hour, flying around on 8-cylinder smoke spewing death machines. Give him a combat bike, a copter, or a combat trike. If you want to have more of a Mennonite orc army, you could put him on a beast mount. You want to be extra sneaky, commando gear. Or if for some reason you want to theme your whole orc army to jetpack orcs, you can give him a jetpack. Who would think to ever theme an orc army to jetpacks? That's such an odd idea. I have no idea who would do that. God, I have too many orcs. Moving on. Next, we have an Orc Leader, 35 points, quality 4, defensive 5, 2 attacks with a close combat weapon, 2 shots with a pistol at 12 inches, Bad Shot, Furious, Hero, and Toughness 3. Again, he could take all of the same upgrades, and this selection is where I get all of my mechs or my weird boy shamans from, because they don't need to be extra killy like a war boss. You could take a lesser orc leader and give them the upgrades to become your specialist guys. These are orcs that aren't quite to the level of a war boss, but they're nipping at his heels. If there is the possibility that the war boss goes down, it stays down during a fight, which, let's face it, it's really, really hard to put an orc down. They've been able to survive the head being removed off of their shoulders. They just got to find a new body to strap the head to. These are the orcs that are waiting in the wings to become your next war boss. You can replace the pistol again with a light carbine and a rocket mod, a carbine with a carbine mod, a light carbine with a heavy flamer mod. You can replace the close combat weapon with an ultra club, axe, claw, or saw. Whatever you plan on fighting with them, just choose accordingly. You can also give them a cyborg body, jetpack, commando gear, combat bike, beast mount, mini copter, or combat trike, just like you could with your war boss. You can also give them a shooty and warning cry, just like you could with your war boss. Again, these are the orcs that are waiting in the wings, just right behind the boss, waiting for him to screw up. And then you can replace the boss pistol with a custom plasma pistol, a lightning pistol, a portal gun, rocket launcher, custom plasma rifle, or a shock gun. These are going to be weapons that the mechs pull out, so you don't have to take the repair ability to take these, but if you want to just have something themed towards a mech, there's something fun about shock attack gun mech sitting at the back of the field just blasting away with lightning rifles. Right, moving on. Goblin Champ. This is for the odd goblin who's been able to survive more than 15 minutes up front with the orcs. That goblin's having delusions of grandeur and has went and got promoted. 20 points. Quality 6, defensive 6, 2 attacks and close combat weapon, 2 shots with a boss pistol at 12 inches, good shots, hero and toughness 3. You can give him all the same upgrades as far as the unit upgrades that you can with all the other bosses. You can replace the boss pistol with a flamer pistol, a rocket pistol, lightning pistol, or a custom plasma pistol. And somehow this Goblin Champ can carry an Ultra Axe or an Ultra Claw. He doesn't have much in the way of options compared to the other orcs, but like I said, this is a goblin who has some delusions of grandeur going on. Almost like he's setting up the rest of the goblins for a revolution that might just fall apart. And he'll find a way to slink away in the shadows, and maybe he likes wearing a red star. No, I don't know any goblins like that. Not at all. Okay, let's go to the units. Speaking of little tiny useless things, the Goblin Herd, 10 of them for 75 points. Quality 6, defensive 6, 1 attack apiece in close combat, 1 attack with a pistol at 12 inches, and they are good shots. You can replace 2 of the pistols with a flamer pistol, a plasma pistol, a lightning pistol, or a rocket pistol, and you can upgrade them with a Goblin Herder, which makes the whole squad fearless and shooty, for 25 points. And you're already only going to be hitting on 6s, so giving them the Goblin Herder with shooty just means that all of their hits are going to explode regardless. Goblin Herds, don't expect them to be a frontline troop at all. Don't expect them to hold a point from the enemy. Don't expect them to kill a darn thing. What they are good for, though, is holding those objectives in your deployment zone that the rest of your orcs don't want to be bothered with while they run across the board to punch somebody else in the mouth. So it's always good to take at least 1 Goblin Herd with you because it's only 75 points. You can sacrifice 75 points to just sit on top of the shiny thing that you're supposed to hold in your deployment zone. Maybe take a second one if you think there's going to be a midfield objective and the enemy is going to be hanging back. Have them run forward with the orcs to sit on top of that, while the rest of the orcs just continue on to punch stuff. But as far as combat potential, useless. Absolutely 100% useless. Goblin Champ or not going to work. Don't even try it. Now we get to some proper orcs. Orc Mob, 10 of them for 160 points, quality 4, defensive 5. 2 attacks apiece with their close combat weapons, 1 shot with a pistol at 12 inches, bad shot, and furious. So that means if they roll a 6 to hit, one of those hits is going to explode into another hit. And with bad shot, even though they're quality 4, they're never going to hit anything on less than a 5. Why? Because the orcs don't aim, they just like the noise that their guns make. Upgrades, you can give the squad a War Banner, which gives them Fear +2, or a Mad Doctor, which will give them regeneration. You can also replace all the pistols and close combat weapons with carbines and close combat weapons, but why? 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 Warboss says why? Don't do that. Oh god, don't do that. Unless you have a very specific theme of my orcs like to shoot stuff, don't do that. You can replace 2 of the pistols with a plasma rifle, a rocket launcher, a flamer, a lightning gun, or the heavy machine gun. The only one on this list that I would even allow myself to think to swap out would be the flamer, because that hits on a 2 with the reliable rule. Everything else, remember, you're only hitting on a 5, and it's your job in life to get up close to punch stuff in the mouth. The flamer is the only thing where I could maybe see that you're just out of charge range, so instead of going the full 12, you only go 6 and then you hit it with a flamer, maybe. And then you can replace up to 2 close combat weapons in your squad with a club, axe, saw, or an ultra claw. This would be kind of like your squad leaders. Always good to take something. Take some kind of upgrade here. Again, it depends on what you're fighting against. Remember, you have Furious, so if you do roll a 6 to hit with one of these weapons, you just get extra hits. So one of these, for the small point cost they are, it's always worth it just to up the lethality of your orc mob. As far as troops in your army, this is going to be the squad that you take the most of. And there was an old adage back in the day of you take more boys before you take more toys. The best equipment you can give someone in a tabletop game is someone to stand right next to them. So if you got the models and you're wondering what else to throw in there if you're a little points light, another orc mob is a great investment. Put them on the board, run towards the enemy, punch things in the mouth, and have a smile on your face while you're doing it. Our next unit is the Jetpack Orcs, 5 of them for 100 points, quality 4, defensive 5, 2 attacks apiece with close combat weapons, and 1 pistol shot at 12 inches. Ambush, bad shot, flying, and furious. You can upgrade one of the pistols with a plasma pistol, rocket pistol, flamer pistol, or a lightning pistol. And you can upgrade one close combat weapon with a club, axe, claw, or saw. Ambushing orcs that ignore all terrain because they fly is always a good thing. Shooting with those orcs is a bad idea though. So, replace one of the close combat weapons with one of the special close combat weapons. Ambush in, charge something, ruin its day, laugh the whole time. Because let's face it, if an orc straps himself to a rocket, he's got to be a little screwed in the head anyways. Now for the sneaky boys. Commandos, 5 for 105 points, quality 4, defensive 5, 2 attacks apiece with close combat weapons, and again, 1 shot with a pistol at 12 inches. Bad shot, furious, scout, stealth, and strider. So they are going to be deployed in your army last with the scout rule, and they're going to be able to move 12 inches before the game even starts. Stealth, if the enemy is outside of 9 inches, they're -1 to hit when they're getting shot at. Strider, you're going to be able to ignore difficult terrain and march right through it. You can replace all of the pistols with shotguns or carbines. Again, you're a bad shot. Why? You can replace one of the pistols with a plasma rifle, rocket launcher, flamer, lightning gun, or heavy machine gun. Again, bad shot. Why? You can replace up to 3 pistols with a sniper carbine. This one's a little interesting because the sniper rule means you hit on a 2, but it's only an 18-inch range for their sniper rifles. Even an orc sniper can't hit anything that's further than 18 inches away. You can replace one close combat weapon with a club, axe, claw, or saw. This is what I would suggest to do. Take one of those with your stealth move. You're going to be 12 inches across the board when the game starts. If the enemy activates something in front of you and moves it closer, you can just straight up charge it on turn 1. And what this squad also does is it takes a little bit of pressure off the rest of your orcs. If you take 3 of these, put them on the front line, move them out 12 inches, they're going to get shot at before anything else because the enemy's going, oh no, there's orcs, and oh no, let's shoot at the closest ones. Boss mob, for what you do with your larger orcs that are too stupid to become casters or mechanics, they go into the boss mob. 5 of them for 105 points. Quality 3, defensive 4, 2 attacks apiece with close combat weapons, 1 shot with a pistol at 12. Bad shot and furious. You can give them a war banner for fear 2. You can give them a mad doctor for regeneration on the whole squad. You can replace their pistols with carbines. Oh dear God, why is this even an option? For 5 points apiece. I wouldn't take it if you gave me 5 points back. But if you do take the carbines, you can take an attachment of a carbine mod where you just strap 2 guns together, a rocket mod or a heavy flamer mod. You can replace any close combat weapon with ultra axes or ultra claws. That's what this squad is going to be known for. They're going to be the ones that all carry around the big, heavy close combat weapons. And you can replace one of the close combat weapons with a club or a saw to give you that little bit extra of a beat stick for when you absolutely need to break through a position. Your boss mobs are going to be the way to do it. Orc Pirates, 3 of them for 120 points, quality 3, defensive 4, 1 attack with close combat weapon, and they're all carrying looted fusion guns, 1 shot at 18 inches with AP 4 and deadly 3, bad shot, furious, and shooty. This is like the oxymoron of squads. They have great guns, they have shooty, but they can't aim to save their lives. You can replace 1 close combat weapon with a club, axe, claw, or saw. And you can replace any of the looted fusion guns with looted flamer gun, machine gun, missile gun, gravity gun, plasma gun, or laser gun. Because this squad is so crazy to begin with, pretty much you could choose whatever you want out of this list for what you need at the moment, or whatever flavor your crazy pills are that day. Orc Pirates are a fun unit. They're a great looking unit. In my mind, there's no reason to take them because they're so counterintuitive to what they do. Like I said, great guns, good shooting ability with shooty, but bad shot. They're only going to hit 1/3 of their shots anyways. But with shooty, it could explode. You could get real lucky and roll a ton of 6s. If you're one of those guys that just rolls a ton of 6s, the Pirates is a great unit for you. But to the rest of us mere mortals that roll average or below average in some cases, avoid the Pirates. Admire them from afar as they ride on their land boats and fly the Jolly Roger, and salute them as they blow everything up except for the target. Now I move on to another less oxymoron of a squad, the Specialist Orcs. 3 of them for 90 points, quality 4, defensive 5, 1 attack apiece with close combat weapons, and they all come equipped with rocket launchers, 1 attack at 18 inches, AP 2 and deadly 3. Bad shot, furious, but they also have shooty. You could replace all the rocket launchers with a flamer, or you could replace it with a railgun. You could replace any of the rocket launchers with a bomb hammer, and you can also upgrade any of the models with bomb beasts. These are going to be your anti-tank infantry orcs. Take the flamer option, ignore that completely. These guys with the rocket launchers are decent on their own. They're only going to hit 1/3 of their shots, but you get 3 shots with the whole squad plus shooty, so on average you're going to be able to get 2 hits just because of the exploding 6. Maybe not. If you want to go close combat anti-tank, you can take all 3 of them with a bomb hammer. Heck, in that case, I'd take 6 of them in a combined squad with bomb hammers. That'd be kind of interesting just to throw at the enemy larger, heavier troops. Oh, you think you're all protected in your destroyer armor? Let me introduce you to my sledgehammer. Quality 4 at AP 4 with deadly 3. You're going to just rip through destroyers with this squad. If you want to take bomb beasts as an added precaution to throw out there just to blow up some smaller squads, it's always fun to have your little squigs running around with sticks of dynamite in their mouth, just trying to go give people hugs. Next, we're on to the other large squad of orcs that are not quite war boss level, but these guys are in heavy armor. Ultra bosses, 3 of them for 170 points, quality 3, defensive 4. 3 ultra clubs, 1 attack apiece with blast 3, 3 carbines, 2 shots at 18 inches, and 3 carbine mods, 2 shots at 18. So each one's going to have 4 shots at 18 inches. They are bad shot, furious, and toughness 3. You can replace one of the carbine mods with a rocket or a heavy flamer mod, and you can replace any of the ultra clubs with ultra saws, axes, or claws. And you can replace 1 carbine and carbine mod and ultra clubs to give one of your guys in this squad just straight up dual ultra claws for 2 attacks, AP 2 and deadly 3. Running these guys with the ultra boss leading the unit with a couple of the squad upgrades from him. This is like the picturesque tip of the spear. Your enemy is in a fortified position, but these guys just don't care. They're just going to keep on marching because they're all wearing tank armor on the outside. I would definitely suggest replacing the Ultra Claws with something else just to give you that little bit of extra leg up when it comes to combat. Because even though Blast 3 is fun, what these guys are going to go after is the heavier armored stuff. You're going to want to have AP on them. Definitely take one of them with a dual Ultra Saw because that's just fun. And then with the carbine mods, I wouldn't mess with the carbine mods. You're going to want to always be charging with this squad. Their strength is going to be in close combat. Make sure that you get there and you stay there. Next unit is the Orc Bikers, 3 of them for 170 points, quality 4, defensive 5, 2 attacks apiece in close combat weapon, 1 shot at 12 inch with a pistol, and 3 shots with their twin mini machine guns at 18 inches and AP 1, bad shot, fast, furious, shooty, and toughness 3. Now these are going to be your speed freak orcs. These are orcs that are determined to go fast, make it loud, and smile while they're doing it. You can replace all the twin mini machine guns with beast mounts for 2 attacks at AP 1 for a point reduction. Taking out the ranged weapons on these is not a bad idea because of the bad shot. Kind of like what I was talking about with the War Disciples Bikers in the last video that we did. You can cut out a lot of the ranged weapons because you might not want to use them. You might just want to get stuck in. You might want to ride a giant squig into battle. And you can replace one of the close combat weapons with a club, axe, claw, or saw. If you take a beast mount, I 100% implore you to take one of these weapons because you're just going to want to be up in somebody's face. If you want to stick with the twin mini machine guns and use them as kind of like a harassing ranged light cavalry unit, don't worry about it. Stick with your mini machine guns. They're not totally useless just because of the volume of shots they get. They're going to hit a few targets at least. But with the beast mounts, their job is clear. Use the fast ability to get up a flank and hit the enemy where they don't want you to hit them. Orc minicopters, 3 of them for 210 points, quality 4, defensive 5, 2 attacks apiece in close combat, 1 attack with a pistol 12, 3 attacks with the twin mini machine guns at 18 inches with AP 1. Bad shot, fast, flying, furious, shooty, and toughness 3. Now for the copters over top of the bikers, you can replace the twin mini machine guns with a rocket launcher or a plasma rifle. If you want to replace the twin mini machine guns, I would say go with the rocket launcher just because the hits that do go through are going to mean more when they are deadly 3. You can replace one of the close combat weapons with a rotor blade attack to give that particular copter impact 3, or a copter saw for 1 attack at AP 2 with deadly 3. I wouldn't really worry about that. I'd stick with the rocket launcher with these guys, and you can also upgrade them with drop bombs where you can fly over the top of the enemy and drop bombs on them and cause hits. Boss bikers, just like everything else. War boss potentially waiting in the wing squads. This is a biker squad of extra big orcs. 3 of them for 205 points, quality 3, defensive 4, 2 attacks apiece with their close combat weapons, 1 shot at 12 with a pistol, and 3 shots at 18 at AP1 with their twin mini machine guns, bad shot, fast, furious, shooty, and toughness 3. You can replace 1 close combat weapon with a club, axe, claw, or saw, and you can replace all of the mini machine guns with a beast mount. Just like with the bikers, this one is going to be, if you want to be in close combat, which you probably do, you're going to want to switch them out with a beast mount and give them one of the special close combat weapons. You're really going to want to do that with this squad to take advantage of their quality 3. If you want to use them with ranged attacks, their bad shot means that they're going from a 3 to hit to a 5 to hit. I wouldn't even think about doing that. Put these guys on beast mounts and slam them into the enemy. Why? Because that is where orcs are the happiest. That's where they belong. Next, we move on to the Orc Buggy, 135 points for 1 of them. Quality 4, defensive 5, twin rocket launcher for 2 shots at 18 at AP2 and deadly 3. Fast, impact, hit, and toughness 6. This is what happens when you give orcs 4-wheelers. You can replace the twin rocket launcher with a twin heavy flamer or a twin heavy machine gun, and you can also upgrade it to tracks to give it strider. If you notice the glaring absence of bad shot, these are orcs that actually know how to hit something. They are only quality 4, but that just means that those twin rocket launchers are going to be a lot more valuable in their hands than they would be in anything else as we've talked about so far. You're going to see that a lot of the vehicles don't have the bad shot rule. I think the reason for that is that the orcs inside of a vehicle have access to a whole lot more ammo instead of having to carry it on them, so they just fire twice as much. Other orcs look at them like, how do you get so good at shooting? Well, you see this trigger thing? Just hold that the whole time. You'll hit something. So I gotta go back and do a re-record of the next 3 units because for some reason, my camera switched into slow-mo and it sounded something like this.
Next up is Goblin Artillery.
I blame the goblins because they knew I was making fun of them. So on to our next unit, the Goblin Artillery, 3 of them for 185 points, quality 5, defensive 3, 2 attacks in close combat, 1 attack at 30 inches with their bubble cannon, blast 3, and rending. They have good shot, slow, and toughness 3. Now you notice they're quality 5, but they do have good shot, so all of these larger weapons are going to be able to hit on a 4. You can replace the bubble cannon with a custom cannon, a lobber mortar, a tractor beam, or a smasher cannon. These are all dependent on what you want to do with the gun. Bubble cannon is the blast that gives you rending, so that's going to be good against hordes of stuff. The custom cannon is blast with AP2. That's going to be good into the heavier infantry style units. The lobber mortar with blast, AP1, and indirect is real good if you want to hide your artillery. Tractor beam is going to be the one that's good against aircraft. 30-inch range, 2 shots at AP2 with lock-on. That means that you never take any negatives to hit. And the smasher cannon, that's going to be the one that does what it says. It smashes stuff. 1 shot at AP3 with deadly 3. This is going to be your anti-vehicle, anti-destroyer weapon. I don't really have much experience using the Goblin Artillery because I like to keep my fights direct in the enemy's face. But if you want to be a sneaky little git, take some big guns. Next, we go to the Goblin Walkers, 3 of them for 200 points, quality 5, defensive 3, 3 attacks with AP3 in close combat each. And they all start off with a bazooka, 18 inches, 1 shot, blast 3, and rending. Good shot and toughness 3. This is one of those units that kind of broadcasts what it is made for. Quality 5 with good shot. Even though it has the good close combat weapons, you're going to want to be shooting with it. And the close combat weapons are going to be a backup for when you do get close enough and the enemy charges into you. You can replace the bazooka with a rocket launcher, heavy flamer, heavy machine gun, or plasma cannon. And you can replace 1 mini claw with a mini saw for 2 attacks, AP1 and deadly 3. I wouldn't suggest using the mini saw just because of the quality 5. Even though it's only a 5-point upgrade, your 3 attacks with AP3 are going to be a good enough, well-rounded weapon to deal with anything that comes into you. But for the bazookas, out of all the options that are there, my number 1 pick is always going to be the rocket launcher. Just because the 1 shot and deadly 3, that when you do hit, it's going to be a good hit. And like I said in other places, as far as heavy weapons goes, rocket launchers are always the best well-rounded weapon for the orcs with the AP and the deadly 3, because whenever you actually hit something, it's going to do a lot of damage. Then the last re-recorded unit, Goblin Tanks, 3 of them for 205 points, quality 5, defensive 3. Starting off with 3 bazookas, 1 shot, blast 3, rending at 18 inches, fast, good shot, impact 3, and toughness 3. So these guys are going to hit on a 4 when they shoot with good shot. They are fast, so they can get where they need to be to get the angles they need to shoot stuff. And they can take the same ranged weapons as the walkers. You can replace the bazooka with a rocket launcher, heavy flamer, machine gun, or a plasma cannon. Since this is the last one I'm doing this time, let's go over the weapons a little bit more in depth. Starting at the bottom, the plasma cannon, it is a great weapon, 30-inch range, 1 shot, AP4 blast 3, but it is 30 points to swap out from the bazooka to the plasma cannon. Really good weapon. I don't really think it's worth that 30 points because a lot of the stuff you want to put that AP4 into is either going to be a vehicle where the blast won't matter, and then the opportunities to shoot into like a destroyer squad where the blast would matter are few and far between. Unless you're playing against somebody that you know runs a whole lot of heavier infantry style squads, I wouldn't worry about it. Heavy machine gun, 30 inches, 3 shots with AP1. This is a pretty decent gun all around if you come equipped with it standard. For an extra 15 points over the bazooka, I don't think it is worth it. Heavy flamer, 12 inches, 1 shot, AP1, blast 3, and reliable. You are fast, so you do have the ability to make the most out of that 12-inch range. If you know that your enemy is running hordes of stuff, the heavy flamer would be a good choice. And then we come back to the rocket launcher, which I've said before is the most perfect all-round weapon for the orcs, in my opinion. So I would rip off the bazookas and put on rocket launchers. So even though I don't mind coming back and recording some orc videos for a second day, you little goblin bastards, I'm gonna get you. Now onto orc vehicles proper. And our first option is the number 1 pick for most used vehicle in an orc army, the Humble Truck. 190 points, quality 4, defensive 2, comes equipped with a rocket launcher, fast, impact 6, toughness 6, and transport 11. You can replace the rocket launcher with a heavy machine gun for 3 shots at 30 inches at AP1. And you can upgrade it with a wrecking ball for impact 2, boarding plank for an extra 5 on the transport capacity, gun master for shooty, battle ram for strider, and red paint job for speed boost. What can I say about the truck? This is the way that your orcs get to the fight. Just the way the APCs work in one-page rules. Whenever the truck finishes its activation and it moves to where it moves to, your next activation can be the squad inside, where they can activate and they can charge things that are within 6 inches of the vehicle. Where this truck is already fast, let's say the enemy moved forward a little bit to be able to put stuff in range of their guns on turn 1. The truck can launch out of its deployment zone, go as fast as it possibly can, and then the orcs can get out and usually are able to charge an enemy if it came forward at all on turn 1. If not, it can put those orcs wherever it needs to be on turn 2. I wouldn't worry about the heavy machine gun upgrade because, again, sneaking rocket launchers wherever you can sneak them. This thing's job is not to shoot things. Its job is to transport the orcs, and the orcs are going to do the work. For the other upgrades, anything else I would put on it, speed boost is good if you want to get your truck to go that much faster. Battle ram for strider to where it can just ignore difficult terrain on the way. And then wrecking ball for after it drops all of the kids off at the pool, it then has impact 8 to run around, and the truck itself becomes a guided missile smacking into things. I don't think I have ever made an orc army that did not include at least one truck, because once you run them, you realize the strength that they bring to the army. Then our next vehicle is the looted tank. 325 points, quality 4, defensive 2, comes equipped with 3 rocket launchers, fast, impact 6, and toughness 12. You can replace any of the rocket launchers with a heavy machine gun. You can upgrade it with extra space to make it a transport on its own. A harpoon cannon, 2 rocket launchers, 2 heavy lobber mortars, a heavy cannon. You can replace a rocket launcher with a flamer or a heavy machine gun, and you can upgrade it with a wrecking ball, boarding plank, gun master, battle ram, and red paint job. This is your jack of all trades tank. Whatever you pulled out of your bits box that day, you can make it. And you can put it on the board and just say it's a looted tank. There's not really much I can tell you about looted tanks other than a looted tank can be whatever you want it to be. Let your orc imagination run wild and use it to blow your enemy off the board, yelling "Daka Daka Daka" the whole time. Then we come to the battle rig. 490 points to start off with, quality 4, defensive 2. Starts off with 3 rocket launchers, fast, impact 6, toughness 18, and transport 11. Again, you can replace the rocket launchers with a machine gun. You can upgrade it for extra space to give it a transport capacity of 21. This is how you run a combined orc mob with a leader up the board in a transport. A harpoon cannon. You can strap 2 more rocket launchers onto the side of it. You can put a heavy lobber mortar in the back, strap a heavy cannon to the top. On top of that, you can give it a basic cannon, another harpoon cannon, a buster cannon, a heavy lobber mortar, or a lightning cannon. These are all of your gun upgrades. If you are a gun nut, take what you want to take, strap it on wherever you want to strap it on, and point it towards the enemy. Hopefully you brought enough ammo to make something count. Then you can upgrade this to be a shaman with caster 2 and a drow beast for 6 attacks at AP2. There are a couple cool models I've seen with the drow beast. One of my particular favorites is in my collection. It is my version of the Doofwagon from Mad Max. If you do take the drow beast upgrade, I would not suggest putting any other guns on it because you're going to want to get that thing into close combat. If anything, you're just going to want to give it the wrecking ball for more impact hits, and then whatever you don't kill with the battle rig itself at that point, all of your orcs can pile out and kill it for you. You could also give it a boarding plank for transport plus 5. It would give it transport 16, and if you upgrade that with the extra room from up above, that gives you transport 26. If you really want to pack stuff in there, you can give it the gun master, the battle ram, or the red paint job. Drow beast with the battle ram and red paint job is worth looking at, just because you're going to be plowing through any close combat weapon as fast as you could possibly go It's a fun tank to run. Then we move on to the combat cart. 265 points, quality 4, defensive 2, comes stock with a rocket launcher and a shock rifle. Fast, impact 6, and toughness 9. The combat cart is the step in between a four-wheeler and a full-blown tank. This is where you get all the cool and wacky different vehicles that the orcs have access to. You can replace the shock rifle and the rocket launcher with a boost gun and blast grenade, a beast gun and a beast grenade launcher, a boom snaz gun and a heavy machine gun, or a mega scrap machine gun and a chain RPG. With my vast experience with orcs and combat carts, I'm just going to tell you, it doesn't really seem to matter what you put on your combat cart. They're all fun, they're all deadly. If you're fighting a bunch of light infantry stuff, the boost gun and the blast grenade are a great option. Beast gun and beast grenade launcher are kind of an in-betweener. They get some deadly shots, but they also get some blast in there. The boom snaz gun and the heavy machine gun whenever you just want to put tons of lead downfield. And the scrap machine gun and chain RPG, again, is a kind of in-between, like the beast gun and beast grenade launcher. You get lots of shots, but you also do get one deadly punch. You can upgrade this thing with a jump engine to give it the teleport ability, to where you can bounce it around and go a little bit faster. You can also upgrade it with a wrecking ball, boarding plank, gun master, battle ram, and red paint job. This is one of the few orc vehicles that I will break my rule of everything punches everything in the mouth, and I would give this thing shooty, just because it's got so many guns that have a whole lot of shots. That shooty ability is probably going to proc 1 or 2 times to give you some exploding 6s. Next is the Orc Walker for 310 points, quality 4, defensive 2, comes stock with 4 Walker Claws, which will give it 8 attacks at AP 4. 4 attacks at AP 1 with its Stomp, Fear 2, Furious, and Toughness 12. I have so many Orc Walkers because my little mech boy heart loves making busted and rusted bipedal Orc death machines. You can upgrade 2 of the Walker Claws with a rocket launcher, heavy flamethrower, heavy machine gun, or a plasma cannon. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Take advantage of those Walker Claws. Even though it doesn't have bad shot, you want to get this thing in close combat. This thing is an absolute monster. You can replace any of the Walker Claws with Walker Saws for 1 attack, AP 2, and Deadly 3 for free. If you think you're going to be fighting a lot of vehicles or a lot of heavy infantry, definitely take the Walker Saws. And then you can upgrade it with the Gun Master with Shooty if you did end up putting some guns on it. That's up to you, but again, my personal recommendation is just take this thing, charge it into close combat, let it rip and tear. I think in my collection I have something like 16 Orc Walkers, just because I cannot get enough of these things. Next is the Brutal and Cunning Titan, 935 points for when the big mech is compensating for something. Quality 4, defensive 2, 6 attacks with its Mega Claw, AP 4, 12 attacks with its quad heavy machine gun at 30 inches and AP 1, 8 attacks at AP 2 with its Stomp, and twin rocket launchers for 2 shots at 18, AP 2, Deadly 3. Fear 4, Fearless, Furious, Toughness 4, and Transport 11. This thing is scary, and you can also transport a squad of guys forward to do dirty deeds with you. Then you can just straight up give it a plasma rifle or a heavy flamer. You can also strap on a Death Storm minigun for 10 more shots at 36 at AP 1, or a plasma cannon for 3 shots at 36, blast 3, AP 4. You can upgrade it with Shooty and a force field to give it regeneration. Now, my experience with the Brutal and Cunning Titan, yes, I own 2 of these because, again, I am a mech and I am crazy. This is another vehicle where I would say take the Shooty upgrade and take more gun. Why? Because the enemy is just going to straight run away from this. Toughness 24 with defensive 3, and this thing is pretty darn good in close combat. The enemy wants none of that, so it's going to be moving away from you for the entire game. My personal favorite is the Death Storm minigun because I like a lot of barrels and a lot of brass flying whenever it pulls the trigger. Your mileage may vary, but again, I am a mech. I am damaged in the head. That's all I can really say about that. Next, the Orcs have not one, but two different types of aircraft. We're going to start off with a bomber plane, 215 points, quality 4, defensive 2. Heavy smasher gun, one shot at 24 with AP 1 and deadly 3. Heavy bombs for 6 inches, 1 attack, AP 3, deadly 6. And a dorsal gunner, 3 shots at 30 inches and AP 1. Aircraft and toughness 6. You can replace the heavy smasher cannon with a super machine gun for 3 shots at 30, AP 1 and lock on. You can replace the heavy bomb with a flame bomb and flame missile. The flame bomb, 1 attack at 6 inches with blast 3 and AP 1. The flame missile, 1 attack at 24 inches, blast 3 and AP 1. You can give it a portal cannon, 6 shots at 30 inches with rending, or a twin plasma cannon, 2 shots, 30 inches, AP 4 and blast 3. And you can give it a force field to give it regeneration. Now again, I don't really like aircraft in the scale that we're playing at one-page rules. But as far as aircraft goes, this thing is a beast. There's all the different weapons it could take along with the regeneration from the force field. This thing's putting out a whole bunch of shots. But speaking of putting out a whole bunch of shots, it's even cheaper, and what I think is personally more fun, we move on to the attack plane, 320 points, quality 4, defensive 2. It comes equipped with 2 twin super machine guns, 6 shots at 30 inches, AP 1 and lock on, aircraft and toughness 6. There are no upgrades on this vehicle, because this is made for one thing: to fly in as fast as possible, hold down the triggers, try not to explode or try to explode. Who knows, maybe the pilot wants to jump out and punch him with its fist, and then fly around and spray more bullets anywhere he can. I like this one just because it's straightforward in the enemy's face when you just pull up and be like, oh yeah, 12 shots, AP1. I think in an upgrade somewhere, I used to remember this having shooting, but looks like it's not there anymore. There's been a few changes as I've gone through compared to the Orc list I've run in the past. They must have upgraded this for 3.2, and I just haven't paid attention, because I've been kind of trying to wean myself off of Orcs after our whole Orctober event that we had last year. I used that to kind of get the Orcs out of my system so that I wasn't putting the Orcs in the voting every week and trying to like point people towards it going, I want to do Orcs. So that is the end of the Orc roster. It was a big one. It was a real big roster, and I think with the Grimdark Future Armies, the roster's a whole lot bigger than they were in Age of Fantasy. But that's fine. We like options. We like lots of different guns and lots of different guys that shoot them. At this point in the week where I'm recording this section of the video, I have no idea what I'm going to put on the table. I think I'll put a little cutscene in there where I can show you my Orc collection, where I don't organize it in points. I organize it in pounds. I think I am up to about 75 pounds of resin of Orcs. I have a problem. If there was an Orcs Anonymous group, I would be leading the meetings. I just love the stupid humor that comes with Orcs. They are my absolute favorite faction in the game, because in my personal life, I beat on machines all the time and I have to rig things, and sometimes I look back on my ad hoc fixes and been like, yes, Orc Mech would be proud. I love rusted and busted paint schemes, and the Orcs give that to me in spades. I've made different Orc clans. There's the Junkyard Boys, there's the Mad Max Army, there's the all jetpack Orcs that live on a mountain somewhere. There's the Beast Boys. I even have a Goblin Army. There's all the different vehicles I've put together. Like, I seriously have a problem. If I wasn't so fixated on Orcs when I started, I might have started this YouTube channel like 2 years before I actually did. It was finally when I was printing like Orc number 725, I was like, I should try a different army. My first videos were even Orc on Orc battle reports because, oh god, I just had so many Orcs. So, with my own mental instability out of the way, we're both going to see what I picked for the army list this week that's going to take on the War Disciples. So stick around for that one, and I'll see you on the other side. So welcome out to the garage. After much deliberation, I have decided to run the Wah Boys, my Mad Max Fury Road themed Orc army. Why? Because I'm in the mood for heavy metal, loud engines, and black exhaust smoke. Let's go over the army. Let's start with this whole mess of boys up at the front. There are 3 different Orc mobs in here. There are 30 Orcs. All of them are armed with close combat weapons, and 2 of them in every one of the orc mobs is armed with a claw to give them some added close combat punch. We have a boss mob all armed with ultra claws, and in the middle there you can see Morkin Joe himself. He is going to be my boss leader for this game. He has the repair ability because canonically in my head, Joe was a mechanic. And he also is equipped with an ultra saw to give him the deadly 3. And he has regeneration because I'm pretty sure most of his body is no longer orc, it is machine. In the back we got 1, 2, 3, 4 different trucks. They've all kept the rocket launcher and they are all armed with wrecking balls and rams to give them extra impact and the Strider rule. That one in the middle is the boss's ride. It's still just a truck, but that one is the Giga Squig. But in the back I actually have to pan the camera so you can see all of it. This is our battle rig, or the Doof Wagon. It comes stock standard with 3 rocket launchers. It has the Drow Beast upgrade because look at that guy, he just wants a hug. It also has the Wrecking Ball and the Ram upgrade to give it Strider, and it'll have Impact 8. Everything in the army that is not a vehicle has Furious, so it is going to be interesting to see how it does against their opponents today, who are the most furious people in the galaxy, and winners of last week's competition, the War Disciples. If you want to know more about what's in this army list, just go back and watch the video from last week where we break everything down. This is our mission board. We have 6 objectives on the board. We're going to be using the mission cards again this time, but this time I'm going to change up the mission cards. Each team is going to get 5 cards, and they're going to be able to score as many points as they want per turn. They're not going to be allowed to discard cards at all, so you get 5 cards, and the only way to get rid of them is to score them. But if something comes up that is unscorable entirely, I'm just going to remove that and draw again. For the deployment, it looks like the orcs are spread with their vehicles across the deployment zone, the big doof wagon right in the middle, and the boss is over on the right flank. For the War Disciples, it looks like they are also favoring the right flank. The only unit on the left flank is going to be the support brothers with their heavy laser cannons. They're probably going to look to get some side shots on the vehicles as they come into combat. Mission cards are drawn. This is for the War Disciples. And this is for the Orc Marauders. Rolling to see who goes first. The Orcs and the War Disciples. War Disciples are going to go first. First activation. The cultists are headed over to objective number 6 because the War Disciples do not want to hold an objective with their mutated brothers. The Giga Squig truck moves up, its 8-cylinder engine roaring. The squad of mutated brothers in the center charge up the field. The truck all the way on the right flank moves forward and fires a rocket at the mutated brothers. And of course it missed. The orcs, forgetting the speed of the mutated brothers, all of a sudden remember the range of a rocket is the same range that a mutated brother can charge. As the squad of mutated brothers on the right charge into that truck that just took the shot. Unfortunately, they did not roll rending for their mutations, so the 5/6s they rolled for Furious were not AP4. They're only able to scrape 2 wounds off the truck. Our truck in the center pulls forward, getting ready to drop the boys. Port brothers move from their hiding spot and level all 3 of their heavy laser cannon at the rear of the truck that just moved to the center of the board. They're only able to score 1 hit, but that does rip 3 wounds off of that truck. The last truck comes crashing through the trees toward the support brothers. The cultists on objective 2 are out of charge range of the truck, so they pull their pistols out and fire. They are able to strip 1 wound off the truck. Under the watchful eye of their war boss, the orc boys get out of the truck in the middle of the board and they charge into the squad of mutated brothers. They perform some amazing Furious rolls and are able to wipe out the entire squad of mutated brothers. After seeing the carnage wrought The infernal beast wants to get in on the action as he charges into the orcs that have dismounted. The infernal brute kills 9 with all of its attacks. The remaining orc with his claw fights back but is unable to even hit the infernal brute. Even though he's under the watchful eye of his war boss, he still takes off running. The battle rig does want to charge into combat, but is unable to fit through the gap, so it moves forward 8 inches and fires 3 rockets at the infernal brute. 1 rocket does connect, taking 3 wounds off the brute. Joe and his unit of bosses get out of the Gigasquig and fire their pistols into the squad of mutated brothers that are surrounding the other truck. They're able to score 1 hit, amazingly, but it does no damage. The orcs that were in the truck that is in combat with the mutated brothers hop out and charge right into the war disciples. The orcs swing away, causing multiple hits, but the war disciples' armor holds, only losing 3 mutated brothers. The mutated brothers then fight back and are able to kill 2 of the orc mob. The disciples lost combat, but they passed their morale test. The orcs on the left flank pile out of their truck, unable to charge anything, fire their pistols into the cultists, and amazingly are able to kill 3 of them. War disciples were unable to score any of their cards this turn. The orcs are able to score 3 cards and pick up 3 more. Starting off with the first activation of turn 2, the cultists on the left flank charge into the truck full of boys that just showed up. The cultists are able to cut down 7 of the orc boys. The 3 orcs attack back and are only able to take out 1 of the cultists. The orcs lose combat and take off running. Joe, with his war cry ability, giving them extra movement, decides that he and the boss mob are going to charge into the mutated brothers surrounding the truck. Joe and the bosses are able to cut down all 7 of the remaining mutated brothers. All of their attacks having AP4 means that the mutated brothers' power armor means nothing. The infernal brute, being in a target-rich environment, decides to charge into the battle rig.
Blood! Blood!
His walker claws are able to strip it down to 9 wounds remaining. The drow beast attacks back. It strips 2 wounds off of the brute, and the battle rig is able to pass its morale test. The truck on the left flank decides it wants to get in on the action, and it rams into the squad of cultists. It is only able to take out 2 of the cultists, and the cultists swarm to attack it back. The cultists are unable to do any damage to the truck, but they do pass their morale test. The support brothers move on to objective number 2, and they level all 3 of their heavy cannons at the doof wagon. 1 shot missed, and 1 was able to be stopped by the armor, taking the doof wagon down to 6 wounds. On the right flank, the orc truck pulls onto objective number 6. The squad of cultists on the right flank, pulling themselves out of difficult terrain, are not able to make it into combat with that truck. The orcs that came out of that truck form up behind it, pulling an orc blitzkrieg maneuver, sticking behind the armor. Last activation this turn for the war disciples. The cultists on the left flank are going to continue to beat on the truck. Their chain axes are able to take 2 wounds off of the truck. The truck has no close combat weapons to fight back with. Needing to roll a morale test, the orc driver has an outbreak of "I want to be anywhere else but here," and flees the board. Because there's no more activations left for the Horde disciples, the doof wagon and both trucks in the center of the board surround and fire rockets into the infernal brute. Three hits, 2 failed armor saves, and the brute is down to 1 wound remaining. The War Disciples are able to score 1 point this turn by scoring Hold the Line, and they pick up Big Game Hunter. The orcs are able to score Seize 4 by one of the truck's tire treads being over top of it, and they pick up Hold 3. First activation of turn 3, the support brothers level their heavy laser cannons at the rig again. This time, they're able to punch through its armor, and the rig explodes in a cloud of fire and gore. The truck on the right flank rams into the unit of cultists on objective number 6. The truck squishes 3 cultists. The cultists fight back, and they're able to do 2 wounds to the truck. The cultists pass their morale test. The cultists decide to stand back and shoot at the truck. With their pistols, they're able to take the last 2 wounds off of the truck, turning it into a pile of scrap on objective 6. With the cultists just a hair out of charge range, the orc mob moves forward and fires their pistols into the cultists. They were unable to score a single hit. The Infernal Brute moves on to objective number 3 and covers the Gigasquig with burning promethium. Doing nothing but scorching some more paint and adding some color to its already overheated engine. The driver of the truck that is barely on objective 4 puts his foot to the ground. And rams into the Infernal Brute. The ram is unable to take the final wound off of the Infernal Brute.
You came to me?
The Infernal Brute spins up its saws and chops completely through the frame of the truck. Last activation of the turn for the War Disciples, the cultists on the left flank run into objective number 1. The Gigasquig moves onto objective 4 and fires its rocket at the Infernal Brute and misses. Last activation for the orcs, Warboss Joe and his boss mob move to the center of the board to engage the Infernal Brute. They'll have something for him next turn. On turn 3, the War Disciples are able to pick up 4 cards for a total of 6 points. These are the 4 cards that they pick up. The orcs on turn 3 are unable to score any objective cards. First activation of turn number 4. The Infernal Brute turns his flamethrowers on Joe and his squad. He is able to roast 3 of the orcs. The Gigasquig flies across the backfield and rams into the support brothers. The support brothers must have been looking a different direction as all 3 of them go down underneath the tires of the Gigasquig. The cultists on objective 6 charge into the orc mob. They're able to cut 4 of them down. The orcs attack back, hacking down 5 of the cultists, and the cultists fail their morale test. Joe and his boss mob charge into the Infernal Brute on objective number 3. Joe's Ultra Claw is able to rip the final wound off of the Infernal Brute. And with no enemy in range to affect anything, the Orc Squad on 6 and the Cultist Squad on 1 both hold. In the final round, the War Disciples were unable to score any of their objective cards. The Orcs were able to score their card for 2 points because there is no enemy within 12 of the center of the board. And with the points all totaled up with a final score of 6-7, once again, Immorcan Joe has snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. War Disciples win. You know, it's a good thing they won because I completely forgot the destroyers that never made it to the board. This is what happens when I clean up the garage. I put them in a new place and completely forget they exist. So I know I say that orcs are my favorite army. They're the ones that I own the most of. I never said I was any good at using orcs. Next week, we're going to see our victorious War Disciples take on the Titan Legion. So maybe we'll see some heavy firepower laid into a close combat army and see what a difference that'll make. I have a requested video coming up. That is the Separatist Battle Droids against the Starship Troopers Arachnids. I do own both of those armies and they should be quick, but I made the mistake of looking and Papsicle just released straight up Starship Troopers bugs. So I've started printing those. I have a problem. You all know this, you watch my videos. The campaign is going to start this weekend. I'm going to edit this video and start recording that right away. I will explain how all that's going to work in that video. That will do it today for Out in the Garage. I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe, share this with your friends, show them the fun that is OPR gaming. Remember, don't take it too seriously. It's just a game, and I'll see you next time. I can't believe I left the destroyers on the bench. Good lord.